Previously on Libel the Bible.
Yahweh creates everything.
Yahweh kills everything.
Yahweh makes a promise.
Israelite men mutilate their genitals.
The Egyptians enslave Yahweh's chosen people.
Yahweh kills Egyptians.
And Israelites and Canaanites and really anyone else that annoys him.
We had talking donkeys.
Radioactive facilities.
A lot of rules to obey.
A lot of punishments for rule breaking.
Wars.
More wars.
Sex.
Drugs.
And ram's horn music.
We had a bunch of judges.
Some gate stealing.
An incompetent king.
An overconfident Philistine giant.
A plucky underdog warrior.
And the Bible's first gay romance.
And we still have 64 books to go.
And now, the 10th book of the Bible, 2 Samuel.
And I will casually hit record, and we, sir, are now recording for public consumption. What do you have to say to that?
I have to say that I'm Scott, and like the Goonies, I am good enough.
And unlike the Goonies, I am better than good enough.
Oh,
I'm
look
Rusty.
at you.
And this is Libel the Bible. I like that you went for a more measured introduction for yourself, you know what I mean? Because you did admit that you had been inflating your credentials somewhat hyperbolically.
Maybe a bit.
You know, singing your own praises a little too loudly.
You know what? Somebody has to, man.
Living beyond your britches.
Because people hear the way you treat me on air, and that doesn't even come close to the way you treat me off air.
No.
It's like, yeah.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, off air is just the preparation for when we get on air, and look.
Oh, you're doing me a favor.
So in football, you get hit a lot, you know, like especially like a running back. So what you want to do is when the game starts, you want to get hit right away to get that out of the way. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of like I'm softening you up. You know, it's like I'm like preparing you for the real contact. I'm giving you a little bit. You know, so it's not shocking when the real thing happens.
So you're like the father in Red Dawn when he's like, I was tough on both ears, but you understand now.
Right? As he's talking from behind like a fence and like Cuban propaganda is like blaring off speakers in the background.
America is a whorehouse with the ideals of your forefathers or something.
His son should have been like, hey, Dad, if you were so fucking smart, how come I'm on this side of the fence and you're on that side of the fence? About to get like machine gunned.
Yeah. And I do like dudes, and you can't even hit me for it now.
I gotta tell you, I question the 1980s PG-13 rating because that movie should have been an R. Like, they were literally lining people up like Holocaust style and machine gunning them. That's not for like a 13-year-old.
Was that the movie that created the PG-13?
That was it didn't create it, but it was the first PG-13 release. Yes.
Interesting.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it interesting enough to talk about like on a podcast?
What was the first NC-17?
I don't know offhand.
Neither do I.
Do you know?
No.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked the question, Scott. Thank you for that.
Just asking questions, man.
Great.
More importantly, man, we are starting a new season right now.
We are. We're starting.
How did you spend the off season, man? What'd you do? Do anything interesting?
You'd be surprised how much has been accomplished in 24 hours.
Really?
Yeah, we had to like enroll my son in a day camp, so that took like, a bunch of research.
He's not old enough to do that himself?
to find a day camp for himself.
Can you just give him a credit card and let him
enroll
go?
himself? I mean, you would think. At his age, I was wandering the streets of Brooklyn, going to movies on my own.
Yeah, you turned out all right.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Anyone should be so lucky as to turn out like myself.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this paper that was just published that claims because the James Webb Space Telescope detected those galaxies that had formed only 500 million years after the Big Bang, and the size of the galaxies was incongruent with the mathematics, like galaxies should not have been in existence that early in the universe, certainly not well-formed galaxies of that size. So this particular research paper just dropped based off of those findings that argues that instead of 13.8 billion years, the universe is actually twice as old as that.
What?
At like nearly 27 billion years.
What?
So it hasn't been peer-reviewed yet. And, you know, but it's caused a lot of headlines, and some physicists and astrophysicists are saying that's, you know, nonsense. That's not, they're leaving out a lot of information. But this was in like a Harvard, like, you know, journal or something.
But he was like the 5th dentist. Like 4 out of the 5 dentists are like, that's bullshit, dude.
He's Trump's dentist.
So wait. So they So they think maybe the galaxy, maybe our idea of how galaxies form is misguided, which just goes to prove abortion should be illegal from conception because we don't know.
I like how you take grand concepts and you just narrow it down to lowest
years
common
from now, we're
denominator.
gonna find out that, you know what, that knuckle shuffle you did, you killed like 30 million people. That could have been like amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the way you think, Scott.
Yeah, man.
Always masturbatory thinking. It's good.
But to answer your question, no, I have not heard about that paper.
Okay.
I was too busy rebuilding the studio in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, why don't you tell people about that,
No, I
Scott?
don't need to. We just move some shit around. Just some furniture moving to optimize the air conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good, Scott.
Yo, man, I am going to punch you in the nose today.
Why? What's the matter?
You know, I'm not going to. You know, I take that back. Because now when I do punch you in the nose, I'm on air saying I was going to do it.
I thought that you wanted to talk about the studio because you mentioned it. Considering we're doing like, you know, like a talk show sort of.
No.
Like, I figure like.
No. You know what you did, man.
You want to
and
discuss.
you know what you've been doing. And you know what you always do.
I don't know.
It's like not in your wheelhouse. You downplay what I even want to. If I mention anything, you like downplay it, man.
So you literally mentioned the studio, and I was like, "Let's talk about it," and you're like, "I don't want to talk."
Yeah, I don't know if
about
that's
it.
exactly what you said, man. You
That's exactly
you probably
what
said
I
something
said.
like, "Is that what you want to talk about?" You sure our listeners want to listen to the shit coming out of your mouth, Scott?
Okay, it's gonna be one of those shows
Yeah,
tonight. This is why we record once a week and not on back-to-back nights.
This is why we need to have like, you know, we come off the off season. We need to have like pitches and catches arrive first, and then like the rest of the team.
Get back in the groove
Yeah,
of things.
you can't like
you can't just like like play Game 7 of the World Series after having the all off season off.
I'm sure our very, very clever Libelite listeners have figured out that we're recording 2 days in a row, right? They figured that out from our narrative here.
They
right?
haven't figured anything out.
No.
We're 6.5 minutes in. I don't even know what the fuck is going on right now. Is this an
sometimes-
episode we're gonna publish?
Do you think sometimes you don't realize you left? Like you just exist here now?
No, I definitely realize I left because I know the contrast between sitting across from you and being like at peace, like in another space. You know what I mean?
Maybe it is me, man. Maybe it is me. Because you know what? I've never seen you without me.
Right.
So maybe you're not that much of an ass everywhere else.
Right.
It's
No,
very possibly me.
By all accounts, I'm quite the ass. No, it's been said.
All right.
Some people. There's been a lot of talk. a lot of people are talking. A lot of people are saying. I don't know what you heard.
Yeah, speaking of human history and universal history, I think they just found they were doing some archaeological shit in a Canadian lake. You know, they take core samples and they can look at like the layers in the core sample and they can determine shit.
Sure.
They're talking about, like the Jurassic and the Triassic and the Hydropocene and the Opocene and all the epochs throughout history.
Yep.
They said that a bunch of them want to a bunch of people that do that kind of thing. They want to announce a new epoch, like the human era epoch.
Okay.
Epoch, because they actually said they found in the sediment right around 1950. You can clearly
The
see
nuclear,
the nuclear
fallout.
shit that went on, and like there's clearly in the rock record, like we have arrived.
Right.
So.
What are they finding? Like uranium deposits or some
I
shit?
am pretty sure it definitely had to do with
Plutonium,
radioactive shit.
uranium.
And pollution in general, like particulates in the air that must have settled on the rocks, and I guess So I don't know how much like rocks settle down, like
That's
in 100
like,
years, 80
I don't
years, or
know.
whatever it is.
I don't know if people in our audience are old enough. Based on the demographics, they seem to be fucking old as fuck, so they'll get this reference. People used to draw like Kilroy was here on walls, remember? That's like our Kilroy was here, like our fucking Uranian sediment across the entire planet for like future generations to teach their children the same way we talk about like the way they display bodies in the Bible, because it was a clunky form of like early PR. So it's like it's the same thing. It's like they'll teach their children in the future. Look at how like unevolved we were, that we were like exploding nuclear devices. That's if we survive long enough to have that conversation.
Yeah, what are they touting, man? These kids today, they're like BTS, yo, and we're like, yo, Oppenheimer, man.
BTS. I think BTS might be over at this point, but I get your point. Yeah, K-pop's all the rage.
Yeah. And I'm saying Oppenheimer like I was born when that should happen. I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're closer to Oppenheimer than like they are to your birth.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. You're old as fuck now.
I'm like a Stegosaurus is to a Tyrannosaurus that is to us or something. I heard that analogy recently.
I don't know what you're saying.
Like we are much closer to a Stegosaurus than a Stegosaurus was like a Tyrannosaurus.
Oh, okay.
So that's how far, you know.
So
I watched the Flintstones. You see them together, but they're never together.
So here's the thing. Here's a better way of telling it, okay, that people can understand. We are closer to Julius Caesar and Cleopatra than Cleopatra and Julius Caesar were to the building of the Great Pyramids.
No fucking way.
Yes. See, that's something your mind can understand.
Weren't they a part of that?
No. The pyramids were built like 25 to 3,000 years before they were around.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the contrasting pictures I see of Giza when you see the actual city, like literally like right next to the pyramids. But most angles it's taken, it looks like it's in the middle of a vast desert, but it's literally a city right there.
Right. There's like a great shot of like driving through Cairo and like you see the pyramids coming up over a hill, and it's like, holy fuck, they're like right here.
Yeah.
Like right in Cairo.
I wonder if it's as nice as you've taken the LIE into Manhattan, into the Midtown Tunnel, right?
On occasion, I've done it over my 50 years
that
in
last
New
little
York.
hill on the LIE right before you hit the tunnel, the skyline
And
is
you see
stunning.
the whole skyline.
I love that skyline.
Yeah. You know what the best skyline is? The best skyline in New York is heading south on the FDR when you hit like the financial district.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
That's a good skyline.
An overall view isn't bad either from Hoboken or like that side of
from
the
New Jersey,
river, like from
yes.
New Jersey.
They have like a nice park on the water over there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, nice place.
Yeah,
Nice place.
well, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to the Bible.
All right. I don't even know what to expect.
So we're on 2 Samuel, and I'm going to read you like a brief little introduction to get us like to wet the whistle a little bit, as they say. You know, flash a little thigh your way, get you a little excited for what's to come. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You got
All right.
crazy in the off season.
So 2 Samuel, which we will begin, the 10th book of the Bible. There should be a name for the 10th book of the Bible. You know what I mean? Like we had the Pentateuch for the first 5 books. I feel like the 10th book deserves its own. It's like an X. 10 is X. You know, X marks the spot.
The Decatook or something.
Despite what Indiana Jones claimed, X never marks the spot, even though it did mark the spot in The Last Crusade in the library. Okay. It doesn't matter. I remember it because I just watched it with my son. 2 Samuel presents the story of David's 40-year reign, beginning with his rise to become Israel's model king and ending with his subsequent decline caused by sin. So it's almost like every single like movie about like a rock star. It's like The Doors.
Yeah. Where did you get that from? Where did you read that from?
It's in our Bible, the Bible Gateway that we read. You know how it has resources on the side?
No.
It has like an introduction. It has different resources.
I don't know how I feel about the introduction. Now, like I know, like David's going to rise, and I know he's going to decline, and I know there's going to be sin.
Well, first of all, you know the overview. So this is like the TV guide version of like what's going to happen.
Right.
It's the synopsis.
If
you watch the trailer for a movie,
fair enough.
So this is like the trailer. Second of all, and more importantly, yes, you know it now, but by tomorrow you'll have forgotten all of this. You know what I mean? So what's the difference?
True.
You're not going to remember any of it.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Oh, speaking of not remembering stuff, I did remember this. I was flipping through the channels, and I came across like Comet TV or Me TV just now, and we spoke about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it was the final episode. And I was like, "Oh, she gives a really good speech in this episode," and I turned it on. And it was just after the speech ended.
I bet you can go on YouTube to find the speech.
Yeah, I bet you I could, man.
But there is something about like catching it,
catching it
like while
live,
you're
yeah.
flipping through channels. Of course, I get it, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you were disappointed, Scott. You
was,
know what?
man.
You deserve more than that.
You know what? That's all I ask. Just a little acknowledgement of that.
You deserve more.
Like when
than
Scott
that.
maybe like has some shit happen to him. Like he don't deserve that.
Especially like knowing like Rusty's coming over, he's gonna bust my balls all night. Like I deserve like it's like a last meal. You know what I mean? Like you don't just execute a motherfucker. You let him pick like what they're gonna eat before you do it. You were denied.
I was.
You ordered fried chicken, and they were like, you know what? The fryer's broken. You got to get something else.
Yeah.
And you had your heart set on the fried chicken. I get it, Scott.
The only thing I'm glad about was there was no like long term like, oh, I can't wait for this. I just happened to be going through the guide. I saw it. I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
So it was
That's the only saving grace.
Yeah, it wasn't a big build up. It was
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes those like little like moments of excitement, the letdown from those can be just as dramatic.
It would have gotten me through this a lot better than I'm getting through it right now.
Right. Well, let's see if we can turn things around.
Yeah.
Let's turn that frown upside down.
Let's see if I can mainline this red wine.
Second,
that's gonna be my title next episode.
mainline this
Something like that. I'm gonna work on it. Shh, don't give it away.
mainline this
So, let's get back into what you were talking
cask
about.
of wine. This cask. Is
Yeah.
cask like made out of leather? Doesn't have to be, but it used to be, right? Like a cask.
No, I think a cask would most likely be made out of like wood, like same thing as a barrel was made out of. It's probably a different name for like a
So
barrel.
what do you call like the thing that you would strap to like your side when you go off on your
that's like,
travels and you like pull it out and like drink like the rum
I know
out
what
of
you're
it or
talking about.
whatever?
like a canteen type of thing, but it's
That's
like made
not a
of
cask?
But it's made of no.
Yeah, it's made out of like pig stomach or something,
right,
know.
Right. It'll come to us. It'll come to
right,
us.
all right. 2 Samuel 1. David mourns for Saul and Jonathan. Because remember, Saul died and Jonathan died because Jonathan was one of Saul's sons and he was David's alleged lover.
It's not
You know,
alleged,
many
man.
people are saying they were lovers. A lot of people were talking about it.
Yeah. I had a guy come up to me just the other day. It was like, sir? He said, sir? I believe everything you read on the Bible. And sir? That's how you know I'm lying, because everybody says sir.
Because what?
Because Trump, every time you know he's lying. Every time he goes, I had somebody say, sir?
Really?
Oh, my God, yeah.
No. Okay, set the scene for me. I'm sorry. I'm not following.
When Donald Trump's at a podium
Yeah.
and he's telling a story about, it's always about how great he is about something.
Always. By the way, there's a video. Everybody should go pull it up. Donald Trump. It's 25 things that Donald Trump says he's the best at. Go to YouTube, type in Donald Trump 25 things he's best at. It's a great fucking video. Go.
Well, so he always starts these stories with like, just the other day I had the Joint Chief of Staff came up to me and said, sir? Anytime he leads
I
with
never
sir,
noticed
oh
that.
my God,
I never
yeah.
noticed
It's just
that.
so obviously a fucking lie.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, what's obviously a lie is when he's constantly like, you wouldn't believe, like, and he's about to say some bullshit.
You're right. I wouldn't believe it. You know how I know you're lying? Because your mouth's a fucking moving.
Right, exactly. 2 Samuel 1. David mourns for Saul and Jonathan. After
Wait, I'm sorry.
That's
People right now are like, fucking, can't they just read the fucking Bible like they're paid to? Like, shut up and read the Bible. I didn't come here for your political fucking bullshit.
Right.
And by the way, nothing I said was political. When I call Donald Trump a liar, it's not because I disagree with anything political that comes out of his mouth. I'm calling him a liar because he lies.
Yeah.
That's not political.
Bro, I am with you 100%.
All right.
People cannot separate, like, politics from, like, just general reality.
Yeah, really. Fuck. All right, go ahead, man. I'm done.
After the death of Saul, when David had returned from defeating the Amalekites, David remained 2 days in Ziklag. On the third day, a man came from Saul's camp with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. When he came to David, he fell to the ground and did obeisance. David said to him, "Where have you come from?" He said to him, "I have escaped from the camp of Israel." David said to him, "How did things go? Tell me." He answered, "The army fled from the battle, but also many of the army fell and died, and Saul and his son Jonathan also died." Then David asked the young man who was reporting to him, "How do you know that Saul and his son Jonathan died?" The young man reporting to him said, I happened to be on Mount Gilboa, and there was Saul leaning on his spear, while the chariots and the horsemen drew close to him. When he looked behind him, he saw me, and he called to me. I answered, Here, sir. And he said to me, Who are you? I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said to me, Come, stand over me, and kill me, for convulsions have seized me, and yet my life still lingers. So I stood over him and killed him, for I knew that he could not live after he had fallen. I took the crown that was on his head, and the armlet that was on his arm, and I have brought them here to my Lord. Not for nothing.
Wait a minute.
This is a bullshit story because Saul killed himself.
Yeah.
Didn't he? He fell on his own sword.
Is it possible he survived the initial impalement?
Oh,
And
I see.
he came across him like he's like, fuck, I stabbed myself. I can't even fucking kill myself right.
That's very possible. But the question is this. What's more likely, that he didn't kill himself when he impaled himself, or this guy returning from war, like propping himself up? Like, there were no witnesses to this. He's like, oh, yeah, I happened to see the king of Israel. I happened to be the one that killed the king of Israel. I took his crown, and like...
Oh, this guy's running from the fight, right?
Right.
David catches him, and he's like, what's that you got on the arm? Is that the crown? Is that Saul's crown? How did you get his crown? Like, he found the dead body, he went, well, I'll take that.
Right.
Yeah, all right, I'm not trusting this guy, man.
He was like grave robbing, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He
He
got
wasn't
caught.
even in the battle. He was just like hanging out, waiting for everyone to die so he could take their shit.
Yeah. Walk around with dirt on his head. David asking how'd it go. I don't know. I got fucking dirt on my head, you asshole.
And by the way, who would know the difference between like someone appearing disheveled back then? Like, I
Right.
just assume everyone appeared disheveled.
Yeah. Because you're either killing somebody or running from getting
Or
killed.
traveling from like one dirt town to another dirt town through dirt.
Dirt.
Ain't no water. You're washing yourself with dirt.
Yeah. When you get to the Wadi Bisor, you're all tired. You fucking lay there.
Wadi. This Wadi is named Wadi because back in whatever, Wadi met Wadi, and they wadied here. So, of course, they called it Wadi.
And it's called that to this day.
Yeah. It's like the Smurfs, you know? That's so Smurfy. You want a Smurf?
These unleavened cakes are Smurfalicious.
Smurfette showed me her Smurf earlier.
She was the only female Smurf, right?
In like the cartoon. I don't know if they've expanded the universe since. But keep asking those questions, Scott. These are important questions. Some people are questioning the age of the universe. Some people are studying like infrared images of Saturn. Someone needs to ask, was Smurfette the only female
I'm sure that was
Smurf?
asked and answered 40 effing years ago, but I've forgotten since then. So.
No, but there's been like an expansion of, there's been movies, so like the canon has expanded. So it was a legitimate question.
All right, so if there are other female Smurfs, is her name actually not Smurfette? She's just a Smurfette? And we never knew her name?
Well, I think her name is Smurfette because she's a Smurfette. Now, all other Smurfettes will have to be named something else. So their genus will be Smurfette, but their proper given name must be something other than Smurf. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be. I mean, I guess they could be called Smurfette, right?
Could she be the Eve of the Smurf people?
And who's the Adam?
One of the other guys.
Gargamel.
One of the guys.
The cats.
And they had all the other Smurfs that are males are all the sons they had.
Gross.
And they didn't have daughters, which somehow we're all still here.
So the Smurfs is really like an allegory of like life in Eden.
Gargamel was the bad guy, right?
Gargamel was like the snake, the serpent.
Right.
Or Yahweh.
Or Yahweh. Who was the kid? There was a cat in that, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Gargamel's pet.
Yeah. I think we spent enough time on the Smurfs, man.
You think so? You don't want to spend another like 10
I
minutes on
do.
it?
We should maybe for the Patreon.
Next time. Yeah. All right, the Patreons. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Then David took hold of his clothes and tore them, and all the men who were with him did the same. They mourned and wept and fasted until evening for Saul and for his son Jonathan and for the army of the Lord and for the house of Israel, because they had been struck down by the sword. By the way, Saul had other sons that were mentioned that died with him. None of them are mentioned here, though. Like, fuck those other sons for some reason.
Which son was mentioned?
Only Jonathan.
Only Jonathan.
But he had other sons that were like fuck
Oh,
ups.
because cis white males aren't mentioned anymore. Jonathan was, part of the queer community, so he gets a shout out because, straight people don't matter anymore.
Right. So for new listeners, this is the part where Scott takes on the role of like his neighbors. David said to the young man who had reported to him, "Where do you come from?" He answered, "I am the son of a resident alien, an Amalekite." David said to him, "Were you not afraid to lift your hand to destroy the Lord's anointed?" Then David called one of the young men and said, "Come here and strike him down." So he struck him down and he died. David said to him, "Your blood be on your head, for your own mouth has testified against you, saying, 'I have killed the Lord's anointed.'" David intoned this lamentation over Saul and his son Jonathan. He ordered that song of the bow be taught to the people of Judah. It is written in the book of Jasher. He said, are we going to do this song? I mean, this is a song now.
Before you do the song,
Yeah.
because we'll get lost because it's pretty long. When at first he said, then David took hold of his clothes and tore them. At first I thought he grabbed like this guy that was telling the story and then tore his clothes off. And then all the men who were with him did the same. So I thought they started ripping that dude's clothes off. But then it doesn't make any sense.
All right. So in the Orthodox Jewish community, Orthodox, I don't even know if I'm saying that word properly, like certain sects of Jews that wear like black and wear yarmulkes and like, like those kinds of like Jewish people, like really seriously practicing Jewish people.
Right.
When you get into like conflict with someone and you tear like a sleeve or a piece of your clothing in front of them, you're telling them you're dead to me. You're nothing to me now. So that's what he did. So I don't know if that's how the tradition started. I don't know, maybe we missed it earlier in the Bible if it happened, but that's a Jewish tradition.
It's interesting.
Not Jewish tradition. It's like a certain sect of Judaism.
And I was thinking in the last paragraph, the last reading, that this guy probably should have felt out his audience better before claiming that he killed the king. Like, that shouldn't have been the first thing to blurt out of your mouth. He probably should have been like, "Hey, guy that I just met, what would you do if you came across the king who was quivering and convulsing and begged to be put out of his misery? What would you do?"
Maybe in fairness, remember, he didn't cross over to the Israelite side. He crossed over back to the Canaanites where the Philistines are, because that's where David is hanging out.
Snap,
Remember,
you're
David's
right.
like on the back lines. So he might not even know that this is David, an Israelite, who's in the service of an Amalekite-like king or whatever.
So he thinks he ran from the battle to get away from the Philistines.
And he came back and he's bragging.
And he ran into the Philistines. So to not get his ass killed by the Philistines, he's like, "Yo, I just killed Saul."
He's bragging. He's like, "Yo, I just killed the king of the Israelites, man. I fucking stabbed him.
I did good, right? I did good, right?
Here's
right,
his
right? I did
crown."
good. We're going to get right back to the show. But before we do, we'd like to invite you to come visit our Patreon.
Each week, we discuss a new topic at the intersection of society and religion.
We explore the encroachment of religion onto secular institutions, such as schools, workplaces, and government.
In addition, we'll investigate whether religion practices what it preaches.
So, after this episode, head on over to patreon.com/LibelToBible and join in the conversation.
And now, back to the show.
Yeah.
So here's what, like, dumb song fucking David fucking commissioned, I guess.
Dumb song, David.
Your glory, O Israel, lies slain upon your high places. How the mighty have fallen. Tell it not in Gath. Proclaim it not in the streets of Ashkelon. Or the daughters of the Philistines will rejoice. The daughters of the uncircumcised will exult. You mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew or rain upon you, nor bounteous fields. For there the shield of the mighty was defiled, the shield of Saul, anointed with oil no more. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan did not turn back, nor the sword of Saul return empty. You continue.
You had almost the whole chapter, man. Saul and Jonathan, but you know what you should have done? You should have done it in that spoken word thing you do so well. Saul and Jonathan, beloved and lovely. Oh, here comes the revisionist. Like everything's through rose-colored glasses. In life and in death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. O daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you with crimson in luxury, who put ornaments of gold on your apparel. How the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle. Jonathan lies slain upon your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. Greatly beloved were you to me. Your love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women.
Boo! Yeah.
How the mighty have fallen and the weapons of war perished. So, let's break this song down real quick.
All right.
They start off saying, your glory, O Israel, lies slain upon your high places.
That's King Saul.
That's King Saul, right? How the mighty have fallen.
Now the Philistines are going to talk shit about us because, they beat us and they're uncircumcised pieces of shit.
Yeah, so keep quiet. Let's not talk about it. And then he turns around. Then the song becomes a curse. There'll be no rain upon the mountains, the fields.
It's not so much a curse. I think it's more like a West Coast, East Coast rap song where he's telling them what the fuck he's gonna do to them if he ever fucking gets his hands on them.
For the shield of the mighty was defiled, the shield of Saul anointed with oil no more. Yeah, they busted his ass. Yeah, the shield was mighty. Get out of here. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, blah, 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 blah. So let's now fast forward, how the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle. See, at one point I thought he was actually talking about Saul, the people Saul conquered. They were mighty and they had fallen, but he's not really. He's talking about the fall of Saul. Yeah, Jonathan lies slain upon your high places. I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. Greatly beloved were you to me. Your love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. So, again, that's not making it sound like it's a reciprocal relation.
Well, Jonathan loved him.
Jonathan definitely loved him.
Yeah.
And David's like, yeah, you loved me. He's not saying I loved you.
Your love to me was wonderful. No, I think he's saying from his point of view, Jonathan's love towards David. All right, I'm going to explain it. You ready?
I'm ready.
You got to get that look off your face because, it's kind of making me think you're already closed off to what I'm going to say.
No, I'm ready, man.
All right. Here's David's point of view. The way Jonathan's love affected him, David, was wonderful. David felt wonder at Jonathan's love. And
so Jonathan's love made David gay, huh?
You're saying that Jonathan loved David more than the love of women, and I'm saying this is how David felt.
Okay. All right.
This is David's song. He's singing about Jonathan. So he's saying he reciprocated Jonathan's love. You seem dubious about that.
I don't know. I think David's a one-way street, man.
Okay. Because he's Jewish.
What the?
I don't know. I've heard you talk.
2 Samuel 2. Just to make it more confusing. David anointed king of Judah. After this, David inquired of the Lord, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? The Lord said to him, go up. David said, to which one shall I go up? He said, to Hebron. So David went up there, along with his 2 wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel.
You remember Abigail, right?
Yeah,
she's the
bosoms.
big bosom. Yeah.
David brought up the men who were with him, every one with his household, and they settled in the towns of Hebron. Then the people of Judah came, and they were anointed David, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. I don't understand this. Are all the Israelites from the house of Judah now?
No, it's the house of Judah.
So what? He's only being anointed king.
You know
over
what?
That
I don't know.
house?
I don't know. I don't know if it's all the Israelites and they're now substituting the word Judah and we're supposed to know like what the fuck it means.
Because they've done things like this before.
They absolutely have done things like this before. And I would like to just point this out. What is the time frame from when David ran away from Saul's like palace? Remember, like they had that whole test about like whether or not he was going to kill him. He hid in the field. So he ran away. Saul chased him. They had that confrontation. Saul saw the error of his ways. Then there was like that war with the Philistines. David somehow wound up with like a Canaanite that he swore his allegiance to, and the Canaanite was like, "Oh, you're my slave now because the people of Israel will never accept you as their own." That seems like it was a week ago, and now not only are they going to accept David as their own, he's being anointed king over them.
Yeah, they should start every paragraph with like
what is the time frame on
David's
this?
log, start date, something.
And it doesn't seem like he's redeemed himself to the people. Like, why would they accept him back? He's been fighting for the Canaanites.
I don't know. He's got the crown, man. Maybe the crown, like,
weird.
like,
crown
like
just,
three fits of the law. Like
makes
you have
people
the crown.
look at you differently.
Yeah. When they told David, it was the people of Jabesh Gilead who buried Saul. David sent messengers to the people of Jabesh Gilead and said to them, "May you be blessed by the Lord, because you showed this loyalty to Saul, your Lord, and buried him. Now may the Lord show steadfast love and faithfulness to you, and I too will reward you because you have done this thing. Therefore let your hands be strong and be valiant, for Saul your Lord is dead, and the house of Judah has anointed me king over them." So he's talking about the dudes that went and got the guy's body and like buried him properly. All right.
So now that I heard you read this, therefore let your hands be strong and be valiant, for Saul your Lord is dead, and the house of Judah has anointed me king over them. This is just the tribe of Judah,
Okay,
and they have anointed him king. So maybe now there's no king, and they're fractured. You know, the tribes are no longer under the command of like one like ruler, one judge, one king, one prophet. You know, because we went from prophet to judges to king, and now there's no king, and so Judah's like, "Fucking, we'll take you, David, because you're a kick-ass warrior."
And I'm going to say, as I scroll down, it looks like you're absolutely right, because the next title is Ishbal, King of Israel.
Ah, okay.
So let's just go back one sentence. "And the house of Judah has anointed me king over them." Verse 8. "But Abner, son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, had taken Ishbal, son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim. He made him king over Gilead, the Azarites, Jezreel, Ephraim, Benjamin, and all Israel. Ishbal, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and he reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. The time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months."
So Saul had a son that survived. Okay. So one of his sons did survive. He became the official king of the other tribes, the remaining tribes, but David ruled Judah. That's where we're at.
Do you think the house of Judah was had like shirts made up like "Not my president," you know, that kind of shit?
You think they like planted bombs under people's like chariots, and like when the person stepped into the chariot and like whipped like the horse, like the whole thing like blew up because they were sending a message?
I like to see how that technology works. It's pretty awesome.
You think like someone received like a fish and like a bulletproof vest? And
Oh,
they're
this
like,
must mean-
this means that Ephraim is sleeping with the olives.
Was it the hill country of Ephraim, or just the rest of Ephraim? The Battle of Gibeon. Abner, son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbal, son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon.
Haven't you ever heard of Mahanaim Steamroller, bro? Come on.
That's it. It's Mahanaim Steamroller now. Joab, son of Jeriah.
Oh, this is great. Scott, start from the beginning again. I want to hear you read all these names again, please.
I'm gonna go
The
to
audience
bathroom.
wants to hear
I'm
you
gonna go to
read
the
all
bathroom.
these names again.
Can you handle this while I go
All
pee?
right. When I was in the classroom, here's what I would tell my struggling middle school kids who couldn't read, and a lot of them couldn't read.
Okay.
When there's a name and it's very difficult, you don't have to struggle through the name because you lose thread of the narrative. You could just say the first letter. So just say the first letter if you feel like too much pressure, and like that'll help you continue through the narrative.
What the fuck is wrong with you, man? 82 episodes in, you now tell me I can do that?
In fairness, I gained a lot of amusement watching you read names, so I didn't want to say anything.
All right, so
You know what, Scott? You didn't get your Buffy wish earlier. This is my gift to you for that.
all right, so you ready for this? A, son of N, and the servants of I, son of S, went out from M
Well,
to
Saul,
G.
come on, man. That's terrible.
All right, I'm taking advantage. All right. Abner, son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbaal, son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. Joab, son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met them at the pool of Gibeon. One group sat on one side of the pool, while the other sat on the other side of the pool.
It's like a middle school dance.
Yeah. It's like the whole neutral zone. Abner said to Joab, "Let the young men come forward and have a contest before us." Joab said, "Let them come forward." So they came forward, and they counted as they passed by, 12 for Benjamin, and Ishbaal, son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. Each grasped his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in his opponent's side, so they fell down together. Therefore, that place was called Helkath Hazareum,
Which means field of sword edges.
which is at Gibeon. The battle was very fierce that day, and Abner and the men of Israel were beaten by the servants of David.
All right. Can we analyze this battle for a minute?
This doesn't even sound like a battle. It sounds like it's like a cruel fucking, like, you got your throne, I got mine, and we're gonna fucking put our chess pieces out, and they're gonna fucking like.
So the quote was, if you go to verse 14, so those of you listening or reading along, we're on 2 Samuel 2, verse 14. Abner said to Joab, quote, "Let the young men come forward and have a contest before us." But a contest like denotes like some kind of battle of skills or wits. This is just them standing across from one another and just literally like spearing each other, right? Like it wasn't even a fight. Like they
Wasn't even a fight.
So I don't. That's okay. That's weird.
It's barbaric.
It's weird.
And how fucked up are these young men? They go, okay, I stab you, you stab me. Let's
So
just do
like,
this.
were they like on some kind of like drug? Did they give them like some kind of like angel dust that like made them like just obedient and do this?
They was smoking foreskins,
It seems like it's against
man.
human nature to go and do this.
The
You got to
battle-
be like the Unsullied. Remember the Unsullied in Game of Thrones? Like those castrated, like single-minded, like fucking warriors.
Yeah.
That's what this is the only explanation.
The battle was very fierce that day. You mean the carnage, the barbaric show
Yeah, there
you
was
made
no
them put
battle.
on?
And Abner and the men of Israel were beaten by the servants of David. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Like two of David's men lived and all of Abner's men died, and that's it?
I don't know.
Do you think this guy's related to Lil Abner? Remember Lil Abner?
The three sons of...
Who is Lil Abner?
What?
I don't know. I know the name.
Yeah, I don't
Lil
know. It was a comic
Abner.
strip, right?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it had to be a comic
You know what
strip.
the worst comic strip was when I was a kid, but I probably appreciate it now? Andy Capp. Remember Andy Capp? He
Like
was
drunk.
that British guy. Well, you call him a drunk, but really, I mean, who are you to talk?
Exactly. I know how to be. I know what I'm. I know
Right.
what I speak.
He was always like sneaking out on his wife to go to the pub, or like his wife was always like on his shit about shit. It was like a British like comic.
Speaking of British, didn't you reveal some statistical information about the podcast?
Oh yes, I texted you today. I noticed that
Yes.
we charted in Great Britain. Do you know what Great Britain is, Scott?
Great Britain is England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland.
Ooh. And
Wales.
okay. So that would be the United Kingdom.
Oh, right.
But Great Britain is the island of Britannia on which there are 3 nations. England,
Scotland
and Wales.
Right,
Correct.
okay.
So that is Great Britain. So on the island of Britannia, or Great Britain, we were number 150 on the
Sweet.
comedy fiction podcast chart. So
Sweet.
only 149 comedy fiction podcasts did better in the entirety of England than ours.
And I've watched British comedy. I don't know if we're going to get much higher because we're fucking funny and they just don't get humor.
Listen, you could say that, but I would say to you, Monty Python, people
you're right.
is beloved by people.
Yeah.
I would also say Benny Hill is highly beloved by people.
I was just talking shit, man. I was just talking like racist shit, right?
Yeah.
That was all
But
that was.
I hear you. They're not known for their stand-up comedy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Their stand-up comedy has, a lot to be desired.
So wait, is like 149 like
Leaves a lot to be
Is it going to be Cock Punch? Remember Cock Punch?
I do
South
remember Cock
Africa.
Punch. That was pretty good. All right. 2 Samuel 2, verse 18. You going to pick it up? You want to
Sure.
continue? Yeah,
Yeah,
I see
I'm
I see
mastering.
interesting names for you to read.
The 3 sons of Zeruiah. That's 3 vowels in a row.
Zeruiah.
Man. Zeruiah were there. Joab,
Scott,
Abishai.
when I was in first grade, I was taught to sound it out. I think that you would find if you sound it out, you'll get through it.
The 3 sons of Zeruiah were there. Joab, Abishai, and Asahel.
Asahel. Asahel.
Now, Asahel was as swift of foot as a wild gazelle. Asahel was a wild gazelle.
Wait, I'm sorry. Now, Asahel was as swift of foot as a wild gazelle. That's how you got to do it, man. Because, Southerners love their stupid fucking, analogies.
Man, dude, nobody was talking about
I'm more
Southern.
nervous than a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs.
My man.
Yee-haw!
What's wrong with you? Nobody
I'm
was-
more nervous than a sister in a room full of brothers.
Nobody was talking about Southerners.
What?
We weren't talking about Southerners, man.
No, but the way that sentence was written now, Asahel was as
I think-
swift
I
of
think you-
foot. It
I
reminded
think you
me
get-
of like a Southern colloquialism.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got Southerners on the brain.
Asahel pursued Abner, turning neither to the right nor to the left as he followed him. Then Abner looked back and said, "Is it you, Asahel?" He answered, "Yes, it is." Abner said to him, "Turn to your right or to your left."
I'm sorry.
Damn it, man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yo, you know what it was?
It's important for me to understand what's happening.
No, before you go any further. What happened was I read 2 sentences pretty goodish, and you had to fuck me up, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. That
You've been
wasn't my
working
intent.
all this time
That wasn't my
to
intent.
sabotage my progress.
Listen, I'm trying to balance a comedy show with also understanding what's going on. This guy that's pursuing Abner. Abner was David's opponent. He's lost. Abner's leaving now. He's going back to wherever the fuck he came from. He's an Israelite. Abner works for the king, right? The rightful king of Israel.
Well, says you. Well, no, he is the rightful king because, yeah.
I mean, I guess the rightful king is whoever Yahweh appoints. So I don't know. I don't know who's the rightful king, but Abner works for the other, 11 tribes of Israel, right? Whatever's remaining. Okay. This fucking guy now, one of the sons of Zeruiah, he is with David or he's with Abner?
Well, Joab was. Let's rewind a little.
The 3 sons of Joab.
Yeah, they were David.
Okay. All right. I apologize to everybody. My bad.
No, it's fine because it was so many times. Yeah, Abner was beaten by Joab.
Okay.
Yeah. So many times we read this whole thing, and as soon as I'm done reading it, I don't even know what the fuck we just read because it's just nonsense.
Because they've thrown in so many names
Yeah.
that mean nothing that you've learned the 2 names out. But there's always that one name that you need to know. So, for example, look, when you go to verse 18, the 3 sons of Zeruiah were there. Joab, Abishai, and Asahel, right? Why do we need to know all 3 names if we're only focusing on, the one son right now? Just say one of Joab's sons was chasing after Abner. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
That's what we should do. We should literally rewrite the Bible using modern Queen's language.
Weren't you doing that for a while?
I was doing that, but I wasn't doing it like rewriting it. I was just like narrating it, like spoken word in like a comedic way. But I'm saying really just like in plain like Archie Bunker English. Without like all the racism and misogyny. You know what I'm saying? Like Queens.
Wait a minute. Wait, you're going to take misogyny and racism out of the Bible?
You're right.
You're going to call it the pamphlet?
Oh shit! You think that's like what the Jehovah's Witnesses did, and that's what the Watchtower is? Like their little pamphlets is basically they took out like maybe they're the true fucking Christian faith, man.
It's possible, man.
And you know they say like only 150,000 people get into fucking heaven, and yet they still try and recruit motherfuckers to Jehovah's, knowing that. Can you imagine if you believe only 150,000 people get into heaven, and yet you still go out and proselytize and fucking try and convert people?
Yeah, why wouldn't you just lock the doors?
That's how good you are, man. I'm starting to think Jehovah's are like the greatest people on earth.
Possibly. Is that you, Asahel? He answered, yes, it is. Abner said to him, turn to your right or to your left and seize one of the young men and take his spoil.
And then you shake it all about.
But Asahel would not turn away from following him. Abner said again to Asahel, turn away from following me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then can I show my face to your brother Joab? But he refused to turn away. So Abner struck him in the stomach with the butt of his spear, so the spear came out at his back.
Oh, what?
He fell there and died where he lay. And all those who came...
He hit him with the butt of his stick, and the butt of his stick, like, went through him?
I guess. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure of spear construction from that time. I'm not really sure of spear construction in modern times either, but... He fell there and died where he lay. And all those who came to the place where Asahel had fallen and died stood still.
And that's why they call that place the place where Asahel had fallen and died.
And stood still to this day. So wait a minute.
So what was the point of that
the
little...
The fight was over. Abner lost.
Yep.
He was walking away. Was Asahel just taunting him at this point?
I don't understand.
Don't touch me. He said, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And he was like, well, I'm touching you, motherfucker.
Maybe it was one of those, like, as, like, Abner was leaving, Asahel was like, shame, 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 like, all the way back. And after, like, 5 miles, Abner was like, yo, man, you better fucking turn back, you know? I've given you 5 miles of this bullshit. He's like, if you say shame one more fucking time, I'm going to fucking kill you. He turned around to go back, and all you heard was shame. Boom.
You listen, you give the dude his touchdown dance, you fucking his end zone dance. I got to eat that shit. All right.
But at a certain point, it becomes a fucking flag for excessive celebration. After the touchdown dance, when the guy runs to your sideline, hands your coach the football, you know what I mean? And like, yeah.
Yeah. But Joab and Abishai pursued Abner. First of all, how fast?
Shame! Shame!
How many of you motherfuckers I gotta kill? As the sun was going down, they came to the hill of Ammah, which lies before Giah, on the way to the wilderness of Gibeon. The Benjaminites rallied around Abner and formed a single band. They took their stand on the top of a hill. Then Abner called to Joab, is the sword to keep devouring forever? Do you not know that the end will be bitter? How long will it be before you order your people to turn from the pursuit of their kinsmen? Joab said, as God lives, if you had not spoken, the people would have continued to pursue their kinsmen, not stopping until morning. Joab sounded the trumpet, and all the people stopped. They no longer pursued Israel or engaged in battle any further. Oh, okay.
So do you understand anything that is happening right now, Scott?
Yes, I do.
Please.
All right, so now what happened was...
Enlighten me.
Who's the first guy that died? I already forgot. The one that he speared.
Abner? No.
Asahel.
Okay, Asahel.
So Asahel may have been pursuing him, but it might have been like not a one-on-one pursuit. It might have been Abner's people leaving and Asahel's people following him, and they battled and Abner won. Or it could have been a one-on-one.
But why are they? But they're having like a dialogue, a back and forth. That doesn't sound like someone who's pursuing to fight.
All right. Well, now Joab and Abishai, the other two brothers, are now pursuing Abner. And Abner finally had to turn to him and say, guys, when does this fucking end? This is a civil war this is a civil war.
Right.
Like, this needs to end.
Right.
And
Like,
then Joab...
we have a rightful, like, king. We're kinsmen.
Yes.
Like, why are we fighting?
Yeah. And Joab, a light bulb went off and was like, well, thanks for saying that, because, we would have definitely pursued you till the end. So, Joab was a hothead, but like me, he listens to reason when presented with sound arguments.
Okay. I know you have to defend the hotheads of the world.
Abner and his men traveled all that night. See, he wasn't by himself. It wasn't a one-on-one following. It was groups of people. Abner and his men traveled all that night through the Arabah. They crossed the Jordan, and marching the whole forenoon, they came to Mahanaim. Joab returned from the pursuit of Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, they were missing of David's
You're
servants.
reading it like a fucking idiot, man. Come on.
Besides Asahel.
Nah, start over at 29, bro. I'm lost. Come on.
Yo, man. Abner and his men traveled all that night through the Arabah. They crossed the Jordan, and marching the whole forenoon, they came to Mahanaim. Joab returned
Mahanaim steamroller, bro. Remember? Let's go. Joab
returned from the pursuit of Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, they were missing of David's servants 19 men besides Asahel. But the servants of David had killed of Benjamin 360 of Abner's men. They took up Asahel and buried him in the tomb of his father, which was at Bethlehem. Joab and his men marched all night, and the day broke upon them at Hebron.
All right. I understand everything that's happening, Scott.
Awesome. And that's why we're here, man, for your understanding.
Well, I mean,
so explain it, man.
Partially.
Let's hear it.
Here's what's happening. We grow up with these archetypes, these great men. Caesar, Alexander the Great, George Washington, Napoleon, Wellington, right? Like Genghis Khan, like all of these conquerors and kings.
Wellington, was that the beef guy?
He was a famous general in the English army. He fought Napoleon. He defeated him at Waterloo. Okay. So we as kids, these are like sort of our folk heroes. We hear like legends of them and they're like spoken of, right? But only recently, as society has evolved, do we realize what a bunch of scumbags these people were, right? So what we're doing now is we know the legend of David, and we know about his glory, and we know about his defeat of like fucking, what's his name? That big fucking monster guy.
Goliath.
There you go. Right? So we know that because all this other shit's been kept from us, right?
Yeah.
We never questioned like, wait a second. He just came to power because he defeated Goliath? Well, apparently not. He didn't come to power because he just defeated Goliath. He came to power because he assembled his own little fucking militia, and then basically fucking, it looks like he's gonna fucking coup the fucking king.
When he wasn't working for Goliath's handlers after killing Goliath.
Because God told him to. Just like God told George Bush to invade Iraq, just like God talks to Donald Trump.
Oh my God.
To hold the Bible upside down.
Could you imagine that conversation for real?
Who do you think? Who's the most important person in the room at that moment? When Yahweh is talking to Trump, who do you think has a feeling inside them that they're more important?
Oh, Trump definitely does.
You think so?
Yeah. Because not everything Yahweh has done or tried to do has been successful. Whereas everything Trump has done has been wildly successful.
Listen, have you ever had a Trump steak?
No.
Do you remember the Trump steaks?
Yeah, I remember people making fun of the Trump steaks and seeing the advertisements
like the campaign.
Recently.
You don't remember them like talking about Trump steaks? Yeah, that's all I meant. I mean like actual like in the wild when it was happening.
Right, yeah.
Because I've never seen a Trump steak.
How about that Trump vodka? That was smooth.
I don't even remember that.
No.
I remember he bought the airline when we were like, like adolescents. He bought I forgot TWA or whatever, and he turned it into like Trump Airlines. You don't remember that?
I don't.
Yeah, that was like for a year before he went bankrupt.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He's the best businessman. Ask anybody.
He had a guy come over to him and said, "Sir."
2 Samuel 3. Abner defects to David. Well, that's a turn of events. See, I can't even spoil anything for you, Scott, because these like headings spoil shit.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
But I am interested to see how this happens. I think I have an idea.
to
already.
confirm something that we have been asking ourselves. So I had been in Vermont. It's an annual trip. On the way back from Vermont, we visit my wife's godmother. My wife's godmother had a lectern, and on the lectern was like a massive fucking Bible, bro.
No.
Like an old school, like fucking massive, like from a monastery style Bible. And I started opening it up, and the sections had like titles. Like there were titles to like every section. It was like the King James fucking old. It was massive on a lectern. I could give a sermon. I could have brought it here and stood here, and we could have been reading that.
You didn't take a single picture of you
I
standing
didn't
at
take a
it?
picture of it. I didn't want to be disrespectful.
Not in her house, anyway.
Right, like I'm talking about it now. I didn't want to, like, while I was there, I felt it was
Right,
disrespectful.
we wouldn't record the podcast at her house.
Listen, just for the listeners to know, I'm not like a complete animal, like when I'm, around other people. Not a
Yo.
complete animal.
Yo, man, we should don like ski masks and run into like churches and like tear up the Bibles and run out. And then what we do? Blame Antifa. Even if it's obviously us, because we admitted to it, we'll still blame Antifa.
This is Scott, like, again, taking on the role of, like, one of his neighbors, because this is how his neighbors think. For those that don't know, this is not really Scott's, like, opinion.
Yeah, maybe they don't need to know what my real opinion is. Maybe I'm multifaceted. I have so many opinions on so many things. Sometimes they contradict each other.
Well, when you figure it out, let us know.
Yeah.
Abner defects to David. There was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. It was like the war between the house of Gucci and the house of Versace. David grew stronger. Those are Italian designers.
I know who they are.
David grew stronger and stronger, and then Dolce & Gabbana came along.
I was trying to work.
You know who died? Jane Birkin from the Birkin bag. Never heard of the Birkin bag? It's a very popular like handbag for women. It's super expensive, and it's named after Jane Birkin.
No, but
who just died.
Elise Finch died.
Who's that?
Like a local meteorologist on one of the local news stations, man.
Which station?
I don't know. Who watches local news? But I knew her name.
Who watches news?
I don't know.
All right. There was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. David grew stronger and stronger, while the house of Saul became weaker and weaker.
I gotta stop you. The house of Saul.
His son. Remember, his son became like the next king.
And he had like the majority of Israel at this point.
Like 11 tribes.
Yeah, okay.
There's 12 tribes of Israel. And the 13th tribe, the half tribe of Manasseh or some shit.
Yeah.
Let's call it 12. Let's say 12 for argument's sake. Let's make it an even dozen. So the house of Saul controls 11 of the tribes.
No. Let's make it more than a dozen, but less than a baker's dozen.
Okay, so 12 and a half.
Yeah.
Sons were born to David at Hebron. His firstborn was... Now David's just bragging. He's like, that's right. I do it with women.
Yeah.
It's not just Jonathan. I do it with women. Here's a son. Here's a kid. I totally ejaculated into this woman's vagina. I totally did, and I enjoyed it.
All right.
Sons were born to David at Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam of Jezreel. His second was Chileab of Abigail, the big-breasted widow of Nabal of Carmel. The third was Absalom, son of Maacah, a plain-faced woman, daughter of King Talmai of Jeshur. The fourth was Adonijah, son of Haggith, who looked like Hagar. The fifth was Sephathia, son of Abital. And the sixth was Ithream, of David's wife Eglah. These were born to David in Hebron.
Yo.
He's like an NBA player, bro.
How many women did he have in Hebron?
I mean, he's like an NBA player.
Do you realize of all these places and all these people, if people took our account of the Bible, there'd be twice as many people and twice as many places. Because we would pronounce each name so completely differently, it must sound like we're talking about different people.
Yeah, we have to get together ahead of time just to like coordinate how we're going. Like we have to norm the names.
Because we had Saul and Saul.
All right. Verse 6. 2 Samuel chapter 3. While there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, Abner was making himself strong in the house of Saul. Now Saul had a concubine whose... I'm sorry, who?
Saul.
I don't understand. What the fuck are we
Nah,
reading
you know what
right
he's saying?
now?
You know what he's saying? He's saying, so yeah, now Saul had a concubine.
Oh, okay,
He's telling a
okay,
story,
you're right.
yeah.
You know what? I acted like a hothead that time. I came in hot. I'm ready to cool down. All right. Now Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah. I feel like we heard about Rizpah. She sounds very familiar.
Sounds familiar.
Had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, daughter of Aiah. And Ishbaal said to Abner, "Why have you gone into my father's concubine?" And Ishbaal, okay, so Ishbaal is the son of Saul. I think Ishbaal is the guy that's in charge now, right? What? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's
you know what that
that's
is? That's sort of like,
non-committal.
that's a non, right.
Yeah,
that's like, you're safe in either side. But you know what? I'm going to call you out on that. You're like Frankenstein. What do you think, Scott? You want some ice cream? All right, I'm sorry. So for those following along, Ishbaal is the son of Saul, and now he is in charge. Ishbaal said to Abner, "Why have you gone in to my father's concubine?" The words of Ishbaal made Abner very angry. He said, "Am I a dog's head for Judah? Today I keep showing loyalty to the house of your father Saul, to his brothers, and to his friends, and have not given you into the hand of David. Yet you charge me now with a crime concerning this woman? So may God do to Abner, and so may he add to it, for just what the Lord has sworn to David, that will I accomplish for him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba." Woo-hoo! And Ishbaal could not answer Abner another word, because he feared him.
So wait a minute. So Ishbaal said to Abner, "Yo, dude, man, why you fucking that woman?" And Abner
That's
went
not how it
bad
went down.
shit.
No,
He
I don't
was
like-
chill about
nah,
it.
man, nah.
He was like,
That's-
he was like, "Yo, Abner, man,
Nah.
all the women you could be fucking. Why not one?" And Abner lost his shit.
Yeah.
To the point he went so crazy. Ishbaal was like, "Okay, whatever, man. All right.
I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm not saying that's not what happened.
Abner freaked the fuck out, man.
I think Abner is like, he's like the son that's like the king who didn't really earn it, but thinks like he's the shit. And he thinks like, he's like a control freak. Like he's going to be in charge of everything. Even like, his dad's like fucking his dead father's like hookers.
Yeah.
Like what? She's not supposed to fuck for the rest of her life? Because like, what? Because your dad is dead?
Yeah. Because she was treated with such respect before Saul died.
She's a fucking hooah. You know what I'm saying? The fuck?
What?
You know who he is? He's the guy who goes down on a fucking concubine.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like after she's already had like how many loads shot into her, he's gonna have foreplay with her.
No, you know what he is? Abner's Nino Brown, Ishbaal's G Money, and he's all mad that he tried to get with this woman. And he was like, "Yo, man, who I'm sticking the pipe to, laying the pipe to, shouldn't matter to you, man.
Right.
You should be bigger than that."
Okay. I thought it was like when he took like his girlfriend and he like fucking poured like champagne all over that bitch.
Canceled that bitch, you think he said? Yeah. All right. This is the misogynistic portion of our show.
Well, we're just reminiscing about the 80s. It was a different time back then.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
1990, I believe that movie was out.
But the 80s influenced. Anything in 1990 was influenced by the 80s heavily, I would say.
Well, man, how far back do you go?
I go back to the early 80s. and everything in the early 80s was influenced by the 70s.
You see what I'm saying? Like, where's it stop, man?
It doesn't stop, man. It doesn't stop until we're all fucking gone.
Abner sent messengers to David where he was. Why would he send messengers where he wasn't? Saying, to whom does the land belong?
Maybe where he was meant like on his level, like simpatico, you know? Like he met him where he was, like emotionally, spiritually, like politically, you know what I'm saying? Meet me in the middle.
You think they knew Italian?
Do I think they knew Italian?
Well, they're all simpatico.
Go ahead, continue, please.
Abner sent messengers
Is that
to
Italian?
David where
That's
he was.
not Latin.
I don't know.
It might
It
be
ended in
Latin.
O, so I was making whatever. To whom does the land belong? Make your covenant with me. Oh, we haven't had one of those in a while. Make your covenant with me, and
That's
I
how
will
you know it's serious.
I will give you my support to bring all Israel over to you. He said, good. I will make a covenant with you, but one thing I require of you. You shall never appear in my presence unless you bring Saul's daughter, Michal, when you come to see me.
She's been mentioned before.
Yeah. Then David sent messengers to Saul's son Ishbaal, saying, give me my wife Michal, to whom I became engaged at the price of 100 foreskins of the Philistines. That's where she was from. Right. Ishbaal sent and took her from her husband Paltiel, the son of Laish, but her husband went with her, weeping as he walked behind her all the way to Bahurim. Then Abner said to him, go back home. So he went back.
Damn, this guy's a cuck.
Nah, man. Why you gotta be like that, man? This guy's wife's getting taken from him. Maybe he's crushing on her since the old days. Man, this
You know
is
what,
bullshit.
man? You're right.
It's bullshit,
You know,
man.
I'm not.
It's that kind of toxic masculinity that's fucking put us where we're at today.
I am so glad you said this to me, Scott, because this entire time, this year and a half journey that we've been on, I've been treating it cavalierly. And I haven't been treating this book or the events in it or the people in it with the respect that they deserve. So from now on, all jokes aside, I'm just going to treat this seriously. Thank you.
Man. I hope this journey you're on is also the journey you're taking. Like, you should not...
It's also a journey that you're helping guide me through.
Rusty, I am hoping that at the end of this journey, you don't recognize the guy that started the journey.
Right. Well, that's because we will have aged 30 years.
Yeah, this is a long book. Abner sent word to the elders of Israel, saying, for some time past you have been seeking David as king over you. Now then, bring it about, for the Lord has promised David, through my servant David, I will save my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from all their enemies. Abner also spoke directly to the Benjaminites. Then Abner went to tell David at Hebron all that Israel and the whole house of Benjamin were ready to do. You don't even comment on that?
Abner also spoke directly to the Benjaminites. Then Abner went to tell David at Hebron all that Israel and the whole house of Benjamin were ready to do.
So this is going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be, yes. Well, you knew it was going to happen the minute that you read the word covenant. Like, once the covenant happens, that's it. You can't come back on your covenant. Foreskins get chopped off after fucking covenants are made. Okay.
When Abner came with 20 men to David at Hebron, David made a feast for Abner and the men who were with him. Abner said to David, let me go and rally all Israel to my lord the king, in order that they may make a covenant with you, and that you may reign over all that your heart desires. So David dismissed Abner, and he went away in peace.
You would think that Abner would have lined all that up before he had the dinner with David, so that he would show up to dinner, you know, and he would be like, at the dinner, I've spoken with everybody in the land, and we're all behind you.
We got all the votes we need to get this through.
He doesn't. Why would he get the? Why would David give him the dinner before he lined up all like the fucking necessary arrangements?
I don't know. Because you probably don't celebrate with dinner, because dinner probably sucks.
But the dinner only stated what Abner already told him he was gonna do.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Abner is killed by Joab is apparently the title of the next section.
I wonder what's going to happen in this.
All right, let's see, Scott. Just then the servants of David arrived with Joab from a raid, bringing much spoil with them. Just then the servants of David. Okay, so servants doesn't necessarily mean like people that work in the house.
Right.
Like servants can mean like soldiers or like marauders, raiders, whatever. Yeah. Like whatever fucking skills he's got working.
They seem to be referring to like his people as servants.
Marauders.
Yeah.
Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
Yeah. Just then the servants of David arrived with Joab from a raid, bringing much spoil with them. But Abner was not with David at Hebron, for David had dismissed him, and he had gone away in peace. When Joab and all the army that was with him came, it was told to Joab, Abner, son of Ner, came to the king, and he has dismissed him, and he has gone away in peace. Then Joab went to the king and said, What have you done? Abner came to you. Why did you dismiss him so that he got away? You know that Abner, son of Ner, came to deceive you and to learn your comings and goings and to learn all that you are doing.
What?
Joab,
do we know this? Do we know if this is even true?
We don't know anything yet.
All right.
It might be a plot. It might be like a fucking, what do you call it? A plot twist.
All right.
But it could be just Joab fucking ranting frantically, not knowing what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
Like, is this above Joab's? Is this above Joab's pay grade is my question. Because who is Joab? All of a sudden, he's introduced and he's a main character?
See, I thought Joab was pretty cool when he was following Abner, and Abner was like, yo, dude, man, this shit's got to end. So he blew the trumpet, and him and his people were like, you're right, thank you for telling me. I thought he had, what the fuck?
Well, Joab, what happened was, if you think about it, Joab had followed Abner all the way back to Abner's, like, stronghold. And that's when fucking Abner was like, yo, what are we doing here? And Joab knew better, because if he was going to attack him there, he's like, you know, he's got all his men around him.
So he hadn't learned a fucking thing.
He's
it was
lying low and
self-preservation.
waiting.
All right.
He was waiting for this moment for fucking Abner to show up
so
he could fucking stab him in the neck.
It was going to be the red dinner, man. The red wedding.
That's exactly right. He's complaining that it wasn't the red wedding.
Exactly, yeah. Cool. Fucking Joab.
When Joab came out from David's presence, he sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the cistern of Sirah. But David did not know about it. When Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gateway to speak with him privately, and there he stabbed him in the stomach. So he died on account of the blood of Asahel, Joab's brother. So he died on account of the blood of Asahel? Oh, because he had killed.
Blood
so
for
there
blood.
was like it was a revenge killing. What do they call that in the Middle East? Vengeance.
I don't know.
Killing.
I've never been there.
All right. You don't have to be there to know about it. You know there's a place called the Middle East, right? You know there's people with crazy rules that live there, right?
Nope.
And you know on this thing they show shows. So he died on account of the blood of Asahel, Joab's brother. See, I thought he died on account of being stabbed in the stomach and bleeding out, but all right. Afterward, when David heard of it, he said, I and my kingdom are forever guiltless before the Lord for the blood of Abner, son of Ner. May the blood guilt fall on the head of Joab and all his father's house, and may the house of Joab never be without one who has a discharge, or who has a defiling skin disease, or who holds a spindle, or who falls by the sword, or who lacks food. So Joab and his brother Abishai murdered Abner because he had killed their brother Asahel in the battle at Gibeon. Abner was like the general of generals. He was in control of the whole army. He had a loyal following. He was going to hand the keys over to fucking David. And now fucking this idiot has fucking killed him.
Nice. Because your brother was a fucking bully taunting Abner on his way out of town. Abner had enough of it.
He gave him all the fucking warnings he needed to.
Yo, that's why when you get like a neighborhood or a school fucking bully, you can't just kill the bully. You got to kill his fucking family, his fucking closest friends, because some fucking shit like this is going to come back after you.
That's like in Godfather 2. Remember, the Godfather 2 starts with the mom bringing like Vito Corleone up to the fucking Don's house in Sicily, and she's like, you killed my husband, and then you killed my son because you thought he would seek vengeance for my husband. But now, look at my boy Vito. He is only young boy and slow-witted. I beg of you, please, please, do not harm him. And then the Don looked at Vito, and then he looked back at her, and he was like, no. And then she took out a knife, remember, and she fucking was like, run, Vito, run, while she held a knife to the Don's head. And then fucking she got blown away by the fucking shotgun, and like she flew back, and Vito like witnessed it all. Oops. And then Vito fucking ran away, and that's how he came to America. You don't remember any of this, bro? It's classic American cinema. Anyone that's listening that hasn't fucking watched it, the fuck, man? Get your life in order.
The Godfather, man. It's
Godfather 2.
Yeah, all right.
It's the origin of the original Godfather mixed in with Michael Corleone's story in the present.
Okay.
Come on. Get with it.
Then David said to Joab and to all the people who were with him, tear your clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourn over Abner. And King David followed the bier. They buried Abner at Hebron. The king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept.
Which king?
The king
King
lamented
David
for Abner.
or-
Yes, King David.
Okay.
It literally says, and King David, king in a capital K.
Okay.
The king lamented for Abner, saying, should Abner die as a fool dies? Your hands were not bound, your feet were not fettered. As one falls before the wicked, you have fallen. And all the people wept over him again. Then all the people came to persuade David to eat something while it was still day. But David swore, saying...
That's the most Jewish thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, all the Jewish, like, grandmothers, you know, the babushkas were like, you gotta eat something. Look, you're all skin and bones. How do you expect to defeat the Philistines if you don't eat a little something?
But David swore, saying, so may God do to me and more if I taste bread or anything else before the sun goes down.
He's in mourning.
All the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, just as everything the kid did pleased all the people. Bah, sheep.
It's good to be the king.
So all the people and all Israel understood that day that the king had no part in the killing of Abner, son of Ner.
So he's putting on like a big show. He's like, let everybody know I totally did not ask fucking...
You know what? And he's got to do this because he's got a shaded past. He's got, like not the cleanest history. So.
He's not like, necessarily like ingratiated himself into the Israelites, like,
and
except for the whole like Goliath thing.
The Ishbaal fans are like, you see, here he is again. I told you this guy is no good.
This is like that rock star who is completely beloved, and then he has his fall from grace, and now this is like his redemption arc.
Yeah.
This is David's redemption arc right now.
And the king said to his servants, do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel? Today I am powerless, even though anointed king. These men, the sons of Zeruiah, are too violent for me. The Lord pay back the ones who does wickedly in accordance with his wickedness.
So I would think after that little
That's live by the sword, die by the sword kind of shit.
Yeah, I would think after that little speech that Joab and his other brother aren't that safe. Like, he's basically like, this is Donald Trump talking on January 6th about like telling people to go to like the Capitol, you know what I mean? He's like, today I am powerless, even though anointed king. These men over here, the sons of Zeruiah, are too violent for me. Someone, I don't know who, I'm not saying anyone should do something about it, but if someone did do something about it and totally kill them, that would be great. But nobody should do that. But if they did, the world would be much better.
Yeah. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good summary of that shit right there, man. You know what pisses me off about people like that? Own your bullshit at least.
Own it.
Yeah, I hate that shit. Like you say you're gonna be like this tough guy, and then you do some tough guy shit that maybe is illegal, and then you act like it wasn't me. Like, own your shit, man.
Yeah. People don't take responsibility for their actions, Scott.
No, can I tell you what I've been doing all fucking podcast tonight?
I wish you would tell me what you've been doing all podcast.
So I keep reaching for my mouse to scroll, but my mouse died earlier, and I put it away. I took it off there so I wouldn't like be tempted.
I didn't even notice. We're so far away from the screen. Like
Oh, it's
I
not
didn't even
hooked up.
notice that it went. Oh,
wasn't
okay, it's
hooked
not
up.
hooked up.
No, but every time I try and scroll, I keep reaching for a mouse that's not here. Like fucking 300 times I reach for a mouse that ain't here, man.
It's muscle memory.
Yeah, I guess
So Scott rearranged our studio to make certain things more convenient for us. And he had a mouse, and he would always like move the mouse in order to activate the monitor, because every once in a while the monitor would go to sleep and it would distract me like while I was talking. And so he had like this compulsion in order to keep me sane from going off on him. He would have to move the mouse so that the monitor stayed on, and now the mouse isn't there, and so he's experiencing like a weird muscle memory thing going on.
Now I'm literally having spasms because of you.
It's like when I grow out like my beard, if I grow it out long enough under my chin, like I'll start playing with it. And I like to like twirl that hair like under my chin, and then after I shave everything, for like a week, I still like I go and I like play with my hair like under my chin that's no longer there.
So you grab your chin and you're twisting it.
I don't grab my chin.
And it looks like an upside down poop emoji after a while because it's all twisted.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks
Yeah,
like.
use some imagination, man. No. What they don't see is you looked at me in such a way that I had to pretend I was twisting up my own chin to show you like what I was talking about.
You know what, Scott? I took a screenshot of something that I might want to fucking discuss with you, but now like I'm second guessing if I want to discuss anything with you.
You're gonna punish me
about
now.
anything.
I'm talking to you about shit. Are we done?
Oh no, I don't have a screenshot. All right.
Oh, yeah, nice
you know
threat.
what, Scott?
Nice threat there, buddy.
You want to see a funny picture, Scott? I'm going to show Scott a picture
because
of
I'm an
Outcast.
audio program. A lot.
That's Outcast showing up to the VMAs.
Oh man,
that's pretty good, right?
All
right, you want to say goodbye?
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Oh wait.
Oh, okay.
For those that haven't done so yet, head over to our Patreon, man. We got some content over there.
We got content on Patreon. Yeah. We got content on YouTube. So if you
the
want,
YouTube thing is free. So if you have,
and it's a great way to leave actual feedback because it's simple. Everybody's got YouTube. You can leave a comment. You don't even need to. I don't think you need to be logged in. You might need to be logged in, but everybody's got like a Google account. Yeah. So leave a comment on like an episode of
and Rusty will not rip you to shreds when he reads it.
I think I'm fair.
You do think you are fair. Yes.
Listen, this.
All right, now I'm saying goodbye.
If people weren't like, a little bit. All right, adios.